Hello and welcome to another bonus episode of Hockey Inside Out. There's a report that the Edmonton Oilers are scouting the Montreal Canadiens' 3 goaltenders to possibly make a trade. One of the Hockey Inside Out viewers asks this question. It comes from GAQ Reed. Which goaltender would you trade if you were Kent Hughes? Would it be Samuel Montembeault, Jake Allen, or Caden Primo? Stu, what do you think?
Well, I think it depends if the reports are accurate. I believe they are, that the Oilers are scouting the 3 goalies. It's more about who do the Oilers want as opposed to who the Canadiens want to trade. And I think Kent Hughes would be open to trading any of the 3 goalies depending on what the best offer is. I would think Edmonton would probably have more interest in Jake Allen just because to throw a younger goalie like Primo or Montembeault into that situation in Edmonton right now, I think that's just going to eat them up. I don't know the pressure there, whereas Jake Allen's a veteran. He's been around. He's been on a Stanley Cup team. I think he'd be more ready to handle that situation. His contract is manageable. He's got $3.85 million, I believe it is, this year and next year. But I think for Ken Hughes, like whichever goalie they wanted and whatever the offer would be, he obviously wants to get something. He doesn't want to put Primo on waivers because he's worried he's going to lose him. I wonder if Primo wouldn't clear waivers. He's got a one-way contract that pays him $800,000 this year and $1.1 million next year, whether he's playing in the NHL or the AHL. That's a lot to pay an AHL goalie next season if he's not in the NHL. But it's sort of, I guess it depends on who the Oilers want, and what they're willing to give up the most for. So Kent Hughes has shown he's a smart guy, making trades and getting assets. So I have faith in him that if the Oilers do indeed decide they want one of the Montreal goalies, that he will make a good trade.
I guess it depends on what the Oilers want, right? If they still believe in Stu Skinner and they want to bring in Jake Allen to be a stabilizing presence to support Skinner, and Allen's like the 1B guy who gets Skinner back on his game in time for the playoffs, that makes sense. But I think Allen has to be a bigger trade. I don't think the Canadiens want to take Jake Allen or Jack Campbell's contract back in this, even if if they can retain a little bit. It's too long. Campbell has been too inconsistent. It just doesn't seem like a very Kent Hughes move to me. If I were the Oilers, I'd be looking at Sam Montembeault most. And if you're the Canadiens, he's the guy you least want to trade, but he's the guy that has the most value. I think Montembeault has the most potential to be like a guy who can play 50, 55 games and be relatively good for most of it out of the 3 goaltenders. So Primo is the biggest unknown. You get the least for him. Montembeault, I think, would be the biggest package back. So it really depends on what the Oilers are willing to offer, right? Because if they're not going to come up and give a decent offer, they're not going to get Sam Montembeault. But also, if the Canadiens are talking to Sam Montembeault's agent and he's asking for maybe more money than what they want to commit to him, which to me, if you're going to sign Sam Montembeault, it's 2 to 3 years at $2.5 to $3.5 million, and that's the maximum that he's earned so far. He's not a starting goaltender in this league at this point, so you can't really pay him like one. So it all depends on what the Oilers are willing to part with, I think. But I'd be willing to trade all 3.
Well, one thing remains the same. It's an unhealthy situation to have 3 goalies, and in all fairness, these goalies, they've got to play to be on their game. And, Primo to me needs a little bit of a change of scenery. I don't mind the duo of Montembeault and Allen sharing the net, but they got to find a way. I don't know, easier said than done to move a Primo. And, it's just not a good situation to have those guys hanging around. And like I said, fairness to Primo, he's got to play. He's got to be given an opportunity, and it's tough to fit them in. And, it depends on, what message they want to send as a group. Okay, we will move one of our so-called top duo guys or not, and, bite the bullet as far as getting some consistency in the net. Because as we all know, if they don't get any type of goaltending, they don't have a chance to win at all. And it's that line between, okay, let's accommodate Primo. Let's get him, out of there, so to speak, give them a chance to play, and let's ride those other two guys like they've done in other years.
Yeah, and Edmonton's in a desperation mode. I mean, there's that if you're not in a playoff spot by American Thanksgiving, the odds of you getting into a playoff spot are very slim, and Edmonton's quite far out of a playoff spot. Financially, Montembeault would make sense for Edmonton. He's only making $1 million this year, and he's not under contract beyond this year. So if you bring him in and it doesn't work out, you just let him go in the offseason. He's a free agent, and you try and make a trade or find the goalie in another way. But again, that's a real pressure cooker situation right now in Edmonton for whoever they might bring in. And as I said, I think from Edmonton's standpoint, Jake Allen's probably mentally better prepared for that. Jake Allen's also a fantastic teammate. I mean, everybody who plays with him loves the guy. He's supportive of what other goalies are with him. He doesn't like the 3 goalie situation in Montreal now. None of the goalies do, but he's still very supportive to Montembeault, and he's very supportive to Primo. Primo has spoken many times about how much Jake Allen has helped him throughout his career. And when he was struggling in Laval, Jake Allen would call him and talk to him. So for those reasons, if I was Edmonton, I'd be looking at Jake Allen. But again, if I'm Kent Hughes, I'm willing to trade any of the 3.
Well, one thing's for sure, any of those 3 goalies know what it's like to play on bad defense, so Edmonton could succeed with any of them.
Yeah, Stu, I agree with you with Jake Allen. I think it then kind of opens the door to be like, okay, what does Caden Primo really have to offer? That for so long, we never got to see what Caden Primo could do. This is a rebuilding team right now, so no one's expecting them to make the playoffs. So if he isn't going to be the goaltender that can play in the NHL, at least we'll know it. And they can figure it out. But I think giving Sam Montembeault and Caden Primo the door open to split this year would help the Canadiens. But as we said, it really kind of depends on what the Edmonton Oilers is really looking for. But let us know in the comments section below, if you were Kent Hughes or the Edmonton Oilers, which goaltender from the Montreal Canadiens would you be the most interested in? And also don't forget to check out Hockey Inside Out to see our full episode.